Thank you to our sponsor, Filmcraft LA. You can get all of your cool and customized film gear there. Like this chair we got with the nice horror at the store logo in the back, which is awesome. You can find them at filmcraftla.com and follow them on Instagram at filmcraftla. Guys, welcome to another episode of Horror at the Store. I'm your host, Katie Hettenbach, and today we're talking Scream 6 with the New York man himself, Jon Sosis.
That's me. I'm going to cover every movie that takes place in New York.
It's only those,
that's
nothing
the only
else.
thing they use me. I'm the only person in this building that has a New York experience.
Exactly.
I could talk about the reality of the movie.
Yeah, I've only been to New York once, so
that's unfortunate.
But you know what? It was a pretty memorable experience when I did go. So.
Well, once again, we are talking about a movie that takes place in New York that was not shot in New York.
Of course, it's too damn expensive.
Very exciting. Shot in Toronto to look like New York.
Yeah, there's some girl who was one of the background actors on the train, and she's from Montreal. She's like, you can literally tell, like, I live in the building. Like, that's not Central Park. That's none of this is, it's clearly not New York. They're like, they'll never notice. They noticed.
Yeah, the park that they used is Central Park. We'll get to it, but that whole scene, I was like, this is the tiniest park I've ever seen.
Little baby park.
But
it was part of Central Park. There's more to it. You just couldn't see it because it wasn't on camera.
Nope.
Just little baby park.
Yeah, it was weird.
Little baby park.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the opening scene?
I loved it. It was probably my second favorite out of all of them. I think so the Scream movies, the typical opening is Ghostface does that final slash, cuts to credits. This time two things happened. One, does the final slash, we see blood on his face, no credits, so you're like, uh-oh. Then he removes his mask. And you're like, this is a different movie.
What?
Yeah. It was just my favorite because you still don't see credits. So in your mind, you're like, oh, this is still the opening, but we know who the killers are. What is going on?
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good use. I don't know, what's her name? The opening?
Samara Weaving.
Samara Weaving. I don't really know her outside of Ready or Not. So
yeah, she's done a lot of horror stuff.
Yeah.
And her scream is my favorite because it's so guttural and it's just haunting and fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, you can only do horror movies until you fry your vocal cords because you've screamed so much. But yeah.
Yeah, it was the scream of somebody getting stabbed in an alleyway as opposed to like I loved the Scream one because you just didn't know what you were getting, the original Scream. Yeah. That's the one that will always stick out for me. But even when she was stabbed, it was just a lot of crying. Casey, calm down. You're done. You're getting killed. Scream a little bit. It's called Scream. You're crying a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's
I mean, I guess she could be crying. She's 16. She's about to be murdered in her house by someone she doesn't know. I get it, but scream a little bit. You're being stabbed.
Samurai. She's a samurai. She should be a samurai.
Australian. Samara Weaving.
Yes. Her iconic Scream Queen. I didn't think she was going to be killed. I was hoping she was actually in it. But I saw she wasn't at the premiere. So I was like, she probably is killed in the beginning pretty quick. And as soon as she was the first one on screen, I was like, bye-bye. See you later.
Yeah, because I'm not that familiar with her outside of Ready or Not, I didn't have the same attachment I had to Drew Barrymore, so I didn't care that she was I didn't think she was going to be in it any longer. I did think that that Gail was going to potentially be the opening until I saw Courtney Cox was executive producer. She's not killing herself.
Oh, yeah, no, she's not.
So, I thought Courtney Cox might be the opening and survive just like the first one. And then, it was a pretty interesting opening. It was everything about this movie, even though we'll get to like the similarities with Scream 2, it's for today. So like the kill takes place with online dating and it felt very today, but also yeah, I didn't think she was gonna. So I thought she was dead, and I didn't
Yeah.
care.
I just love her so much, and her awkward acting is so good. Like she's just a quirky girl,
Yeah.
a quirky associate professor of slasher movies. What I mean, I went to an art school and we had one class on called Zombies in Popular Media, and that was as niche as it got. But still, like you're like a professor of just that.
I went to Brooklyn College, and my senior year, I had the option to take the politics of South Park.
Okay.
Now that is something that I was like, all right, we're out of control now.
Yeah.
That was to me that was the downward slope to where we are now, where people can watch things in 15-second increments. It started with, yeah, you want to take the politics of South Park? Like, oh, that's what we're paying all this money for college for?
You're
Great,
like, of
got
course,
it.
yeah.
This is where we're heading.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I also took a sound class called The Sound of Horror. And
It's just screaming. You
it's
listen
just
to screaming for an
It
hour.
was like sound design. Let's talk about how special the sound design. And I'm like, okay. I was not a sound engineer, and everyone got really mad at me when I chose It Follows. Because I was like, it's got a lot of synth in it, and it's kind of spooky. And they're like, oh my God, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm like, all of you can suck it.
I do love the new
was
score
funny.
for the new Scream movies.
It was pretty
it's
lit.
different than. Okay, we're not.
It was lit,
It was
fam.
lit.
It was
Okay.
lit,
We're
bro.
off the rails already.
Bet. Ahaha. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the score is pretty good. It's unique. It feels like Scream, but it's not. So I think I really like this movie, and the opening was probably the second best after the original.
Yeah, I feel like overall, like the kills and just they were more like, oh, we're gonna show like the aftermath and not the stabby stab part. Whereas 5, it was like, no, we're gonna show the knife going in and show like the gore of like actually stabbing somebody. And I felt like 5 was scarier because of that. 6, I mean, obviously you're in a city, so you don't know where he's gonna pop up, but like you do. He's in your friend group.
Of course, he's going to be in the same city as you. It reminded me of Cloverfield, where the monster was big, but it wasn't the size of Manhattan. But everywhere that they ran, they turned the corner and he was there. I was like, oh, this monster's following these particular 4 people just by chance. And then Ghostface,
like, okay.
Obviously, we find out at the end. We'll get to the end, but we find out how he magically appeared there.
Yeah, I think it was scarier when it's in a small town. When it's in a big city. I mean, there's so many stabbings and shootings in a large city.
I mean, we'll talk about the train scene also. I was like, that was very New York.
Well, let's talk about it now.
Well, what do you think of the opening?
I liked it. When he took off the mask, I was like, oh, I don't know what's about to happen. I thought it was done. I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, well, maybe they're going to, do something different, because now they're no longer trying to, they're trying to still, the directors are trying to make it like for Wes Craven, but it's not for Wes anymore.
Yeah.
They're trying to veer into a new direction. And I thought, you know what? Maybe they'll save the title to the end or something, and it'll be Sam doing it. So I really had no idea, but to see Tony, what is his last name?
Revolori. Of Spider-Man fame.
No, or Gran Budapest.
I just know him from Spider-Man.
Or Gran Budapest. He's the bellboy.
Yeah.
But to see him like take off the mask, I was like, huh? And then the whole Greg sequence of, Greg, I know you're in the apartment, and I was like, oh, it's not Greg. Greg's dead.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't know
dragged
where
out.
Greg was.
I'm also getting sick. So what's funny about the opening is when she talks to her date, I was like, wait, that sounds familiar, and I didn't put together that it was Tony using his real voice.
Yeah.
But I'm also sick of the voice changer thing where it's like they're using other people's voices, or in this case it wasn't the situation, but that part's getting a little bit annoying to me, where they're either using a different voice and it turns into Ghostface, or Ghostface turns into another voice. It turns into it happened, I think, in Scream 3 the most, and then it comes back every now and then. I'm like, okay, we got it. Like, it's a lot.
It was fine. But I loved in this film how there's so many little Easter eggs. I feel like they started that in 5 the most with everything for the fans, and now it's just like out of control. Like you have like the last podcast on the left in what's Tony's character's name? Do you remember?
No, I forgot
Tony.
his name.
He's got that. What are they? They're playing. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. Jason. That was his name.
Jason. Yeah. Oh, Jason. Oh, huh.
There we go.
Look at that.
And that's the scene where we see him. That's the scene where they do the cameo for Jason.
But it's just, stuff like that where you're like, you see those little things.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh, I see.
The other thing in the opening I loved is when he says we have to finish the movie when he's about to be killed.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and that's where you're like, oh, this also isn't a movie-based murder.
Yeah.
So it immediately, you don't know who Richie's family is, but you immediately remember Scream 2. And I have the list here of all the comparisons between Scream 2 and this, but you immediately realize this is a revenge thing.
Yeah.
If he's not doing it for the movies, this is probably someone related to Richie or somebody in the storyline. I thought it could have been the mother. Until the story, there were points where I'm like, okay, I know who the killer is.
Yeah.
But you immediately realize, okay, this isn't someone trying to make a movie. This is a revenge thing, just like Scream 2.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And they're like, hey, we're going to go party at the frats. And I loved them bringing the frats back from, what is it?
Omega Beta Zeta and Omega Kappa Beta.
Yeah, I love them bringing that back.
That's on my list. I mean, we have a whole list here of things that were identical to Scream 2.
It brought me back to my, when I was briefly in a sorority and my frat party days. They were very brief. I was always a sober sister, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would tear up that dance floor.
We had a frat. There were 2 frats that approached me. One was AE Pi, which I'm like, the Jewish frat. I'm not going to do it.
Should've.
And then the second one was ZBT, and it was the biggest group of mutants I've ever seen. And I remember my best friend and I were sitting there, and they're like, hey, come pledge ZBT. We're just a bunch of cool guys that like having fun, and we meet people. And they're like, and then when you come down to the cafeteria here, you could sit at our table. And I look over, and I'm like, that was not a selling point. You guys look like the X-Men. It was disgusting. And I'm a 4, so you have to imagine what these guys look like. That I was like, oh no, I'm too attractive for this group of people. It was bad. So yeah, I did not pledge. I don't do that. I'm not. Oh no. I don't do that stuff. I'm not into the whole joining a group. It was a frat is good for a frat and sorority. They're good for when you go away to college because it's a way to meet people and network. When you go to a commuter school like I did, you have your friends from home.
Yeah.
You don't need more friends. You just have your group. I don't need Speedy or whatever their nicknames are. Yeah, there was one guy, Speedy, and another one was named Jazz, and those were the 2 that approached us. And I was like, I don't it's enough.
Yeah.
You're a grown man. You're almost 22. Good.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I was never a frat person, but it was.
Yeah.
Was what it was.
Sam being overprotective and showing up to the frat, if that was my sibling, I'd punch him right in the face. I'd be like, dude, I know you're trying to protect me, but literally, you're a grown adult, and I am a freshman in college, and I'm with all my friends.
Yeah.
Go away. Go.
But what I loved was, and this is the first time I think it's been done, they put it in perspective. Tara was like, that thing that we went through was only 3 days long. Let's move. Let's get out of it. We can't live our lives based on 3 days of bad stuff. And they never talk about how long a Scream movie is, how long it takes place. Because for us, it's only a 2-hour movie, but we don't know the real length of time. And then when they put it in perspective, that was just 3 days of the year.
Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
It was a bad situation.
Yeah, it was a bad couple of days, but you come back from it. You're fine.
Let's move on.
Yeah. I forgot to the Sam's therapist.
The biggest waste of character.
Oh my god, biggest. He was stupid. He's like, yeah, tell me about your thoughts. No, I need to report this. And then Sam literally told him what she needed to get off her chest, because that's what he asked. He's like, hey, you've been worried about Tara, talk to me about you. And she told him, and he's like, I'm gonna call the police now because you're a threat. And I don't think she said anything that was threatening. She didn't say, I'm going to attack you. She says, I enjoyed stabbing people, but I'm worried about myself and I would like to seek help. And I think that's noble, and you should be allowed to seek help without having the frickin' police involved.
Yes, you should be able to seek help, but I do believe you have to report somebody saying that they enjoyed killing someone else.
Do you?
I feel like that's beyond, let's just come to me once a week, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I stabbed someone, so let's be specific. I stabbed someone 25 times and slit his throat.
Yeah. No, 22 times.
22 times and slit his throat.
She
and I felt like, and it felt right. That's how, like, it felt right is how you describe sex. Okay. Like, it's not how you describe killing someone. Yeah. So that, to me, I would report that. I would probably say, okay, we should probably keep an eye on this one.
How about, I would have been like, okay, can we bump it up to, we see you like twice a week, maybe 3 times, maybe every day.
Yeah.
I think
5 days wouldn't be the worst
5
thing.
days, 7 days, 9 days out of the week.
That's
I think
the thing.
we should see you.
I feel like
you should just live with me. Come on in. Let's put you in my house, and we'll just have a constant therapy session. Thoughts?
I don't think there's a way to stop someone from enjoying murdering people.
Yeah, if you're born a killer, you're born a killer.
And if I'm the psychiatrist, I don't want them living with me.
Yeah.
Especially if they enjoy murdering.
Also, why was he like a horror fan? Like, did you see on like the shelf he had the little, honestly, I think it was Handmade by Robots.
Oh, really?
He had all of them on the side. Like, he had the entire Addams Family. He had
I didn't even look at it.
Massacre. And then when he was killed, which was so dumb, they were playing in the first Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And they're like, they're gonna get us, or no, you're next. And I was like, well, he's next, because it's saying you're next. And then the eyeball, and I was like, okay, that was stupid.
Well, okay, so I have to look back, because the killers were wearing the masks counting down to Billy. So Billy's mask, I don't know if Billy's mask was on in the scene when he got killed. I think that she killed him. Because why would Ghostface, Samantha, why would Ghostface kill him and take her folder?
Because when so this is after the bodega sequence.
Yeah.
Which we can get back to in a second. But the police, what's the cop's name? Detective Bailey, who immediately was like, I don't trust you. Your voice sounds like Ghostface.
You sound like a killer.
And you're doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
The eyebrows gave it away. I don't know, something about the eyebrows. Yeah. And the way he was like being sneaky, I'm like, you're acting suspicious, and more suspicious than other people. But he took down where he's like, oh, can I have the address of your therapist for Sam's alibi? So that's immediately, I was like, oh, it has to be him, because he's the only person to have had that.
I thought she didn't want to be reported, so she killed him and took her own file. Because I don't know why Ghostface would take the file. Like, I know why she would kill him, but why would he kill the therapist?
To frame Sam even more, so she doesn't have an alibi.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah. I mean, that whole thing with the bodega scene, I didn't love.
It was the first time that we had Ghostface just kill to kill. Yeah. And he just was shooting up everybody.
Yeah, he didn't care. Which is very New York.
Yeah, which is very New York. So you can tell these people are authentic.
Yeah, very authentic.
Yeah. But it's pretty terrifying if you're those people and you think you're staying up to someone and then they start stabbing you. And then the gun thing stressed me out. With that was probably the first gun that's ever been in Toronto. They
were probably freaking the fuck out. They heard a gunshot.
They're like, oh my God.
What is that? Oh, don't worry, America's here.
Oh, okay.
We're filming something. America's here.
Oh, ratatata. Oh.
Yeah.
Don't freak out, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it was fine. It gave little nods to like Jurassic Park in the
Yeah.
with the velociraptors, with Tara like peeking around the corner, and then Ghostface kind of inching towards them. But it was fine. It pissed me off, of course, that they get out and they turn around right away. I was like, I would keep running. I would just keep running.
Yeah.
I know the cops are right there, but I would just keep going.
But that's a Scream movie. That's one of the charms of Scream. You just you stop when you think you've gotten away. Just take a pause. Take a break.
You're tired. Just you're a little bit tie. Just take some deep breaths, do some stretches.
Yeah. You have to limber up. Zombieland. Rule number 1.
That's honestly it's a good rule for any movie or any life.
Also, we find out one of the killers very early. Like as soon as Ethan shows up with a knife on his hat, you're like,
yeah, that was like a subtle thing. I was like, he was wearing Annika's hat from the party, and he switched it, and it was like right up front, and I was like, that's yeah. And he also was super defensive. He was like, "What? I'm the killer.
I'm a virgin. I can't kill.
I can't." And then Mindy's like, "Okay, you're definitely like number 1," which she was right about that.
But she didn't think she was right when she got stabbed and it wasn't him on the train.
That train sequence, the trailer did a great job of tricking us to like where everything was.
Oh, we thought they were on the same train. We also thought, okay, this is probably to throw us off. No one's going to get killed in public.
Yeah.
And she didn't get killed, but she could have been.
Oh my God, yeah.
She was just stabbed on the train and everybody walked right off, continued their day.
They don't give a fuck.
Because that's what we do in New York.
Yep, someone gets stabbed, you keep moving forward.
That's what we do.
Yeah, because it was only a couple seconds of your day.
And she wasn't blocking the door. Why we're not going to stop. The door's clear. We're going to go. We continue our day.
It's crazy that those people around her didn't like move. Also, I wouldn't sleep on a train. Have you ever slept on a train?
I don't think she was sleeping.
No, the people next to her.
Oh, people sleep all the time on the train.
I was
either
like,
the
those
people living there,
out, or like homeless people.
Either the people living there, or like when you're coming home from work. I've done it. And then 3 stops later, you're like, oh, I missed my stop.
Okay.
My thing with the train sequence was, even when you go into a tunnel, we have lights on the train.
Yeah.
It's never dark in the train.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose the outside light, but it's never dark enough in the train that you can be stabbed and nobody sees.
Yeah.
So that was also not very authentic.
Yeah. I went to school in Chicago, so I can kind of understand trains a little bit, but like, yeah, that seemed silly to me. I don't know, and it was creepy. That scene was creepy though, and the more you watch it, the more you realize that there's all these like smaller Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And like, Ready or Not, the bride is in there, the Babadook is in there.
The girl
as
from
well.
The Ring, Samara.
Yeah.
From The Ring.
Every stop, the costumes get darker, leading to the stabbing of Mindy.
Poor Mindy.
Yeah. And I did love how it was practical with Ghostface.
Yeah.
Just moving forward. I thought they'd try to like CGI it and make it crazy, but it was just, you could literally see, even in the dark, them just moving forward.
A lot of stomach stabbing in this movie.
Yeah.
So we'll talk. Let's first of all, what do you think of Kirby's return? Did you buy that she was a cop?
That was fine. I was more upset about her hair and her hairline. That pissed me off the most, honestly. I love her. I don't care how she returns. Can you be 30 years old and be in the FBI? I'm 25.
Probably. Like,
I don't
unfortunately,
know.
you could be 22 and be a police officer in New York. So I imagine 8 years later, you could make your way to the FBI.
Jeez, good job,
But
Kirby.
I
Look
don't.
at you go.
It's I thought she could have been something like a professor or something with horror, but I guess it kind of makes sense. I didn't love the idea, but it made sense for creating suspects, and it did what it was supposed to do.
I never thought she was the killer. I'm like, she's smart, but she's.
It would have been. I think it would have been a nice twist.
Yeah.
But I think the fans would have hated it, so I didn't think it was going to happen. But she survived, so we'll probably see her in the next one.
Good shit. We love Kirby.
And what's her name? Let's talk about her. That was a pretty cool scene.
Annika?
Yeah, Annika. That whole scene was pretty good.
That was their first like real interaction with Ghostface, where which also the roommate, what was her name? Oh my god, I keep forgetting their name.
I know her real name's Liana.
The redhead.
Yeah.
when we first meet her and she's like hooking up with a guy, the voice is Tim Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a Dan Flasher shirt from I Think You Should Leave just in the subway. And so in the final credits it says, thank you to Tim Robinson. So I love that little nod because I love that show. But her kill, obviously she didn't die, but I thought that scene was fucking terrifying because they all like got up. Yeah, Annika, but also like the initial like chase scene in the house. There's a lot more chase scenes. But to be like, there's something behind that door. We know who it is. We just don't know when it's coming out.
Yeah.
And like you just kind of they all froze. They got up, but they're like, oh shit, we need to go. But for a second they were like, we don't know what to do, which is I feel like what you would do in real life if you heard something behind a door and you're like, is that something gonna attack me or am I okay? And then like you take a second. I think they took that second and then, her body comes flying through the door.
But the second we saw that, I knew she wasn't dead because that's Scream. If you don't see them getting killed or stabbed, Roman is the perfect example. They have to be shot in the head.
Yep.
Except for Annika, who
was stabbed in the stomach.
And she survived that.
Yeah. She survived that, yeah. Which was crazy because she was bleeding a lot.
He carved pretty far up.
And that whole bathroom scene stressed me out too. And she's like, oh, what did Mindy say? Mindy said something sarcastic. And she's like, say something more positive. Like, it's not the time for positivity. We love it, Annika. We love your Gen Z, positivity, but
there was a bunch of dialogue in this one.
It was hilarious. That scene, I feel like they looked a lot at the movie Nerve. Have you ever seen that with Dave Franco?
Yes.
And, with the ladder scene, it was giving that as well. That stressed me the fuck out. And the boyfriend just happened to have a ladder that fit perfectly.
He just pulled it out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's like, I have a ladder right here.
In my bathroom where I always need one.
I have a ladder in the... He wasn't...
Was he in the bathroom? It doesn't matter where he was.
Yeah,
there was nowhere they needed a ladder because it's a New York City apartment.
Yeah, I don't know. What are you laddering to? It doesn't... I don't know.
You just never know when you're going to have to go window to window across the building.
Yeah. Also, so when Annika was getting across, I thought they were going to start pulling her this way.
Oh, okay.
And I feel like that would have helped her a little bit.
No, then the end would have fallen right off the edge.
But if you have all of them like leaning on it, all of them with all of their weight, I feel like you could have pulled her in.
I mean, I know she was stabbed in the stomach, but Annika could have crawled a little faster. Yeah. She had plenty of time to make it across. Yeah. This was a non-issue.
Her confidence was lacking.
Yeah.
In her ability.
Oh, my stomach.
Oh, I can't do it, baby. Go. Well, then you're going to die.
He carved 9 inches of my stomach. Okay, get over it.
Yeah. Also, Ethan was obviously the killer during that. And I think he was having fun with killing her. He could have just moved it forward and dropped it. Yeah. But he was like, I want to have some fun.
He's like, I'm not even stabbing this one. He puts the knife down.
Like,
and you're
like, I thought he was also going to reel her in.
Oh.
Like have a little tug of war, which could have been fun.
Yeah.
And then psych, and then you drop it, and then it's actually them doing it, and then it looks like they killed her. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So it looks ladder like back and forth, and then you drop it when they're pulling the hardest, and then she drops.
And they didn't just have her go splat on the ground. She
had to hit a trash can with her face.
Yeah, that eye did not look good.
Ooh.
So that was probably the worst kill of the film.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst kill. Like, I'm not into the one stabbing in the eye or the mouth, and we lost 2 people to that. We lost Quinn to the gunshot.
Yeah, that was fine. It was Quinn.
Yeah,
you
Quinn.
Said, yeah.
The shrine was pretty cool. I thought it was a cool idea that they had that in a theater.
We also visited something similar to that at the Santa Monica.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the exact same props, just not in a big theater. Yeah. So that was cool. And that's just another example of the comparisons to Scream 2. Scream 2 ended in a theater, and this one ended in a theater.
I was like, this is so accurate. It's insane.
Yeah, I have 9 comparisons, and there are probably more that I missed.
Damn, go.
College. It takes place at college. Omega Beta Zeta, Omega Kappa Beta, pledging. If I'm a suspect, you're a suspect. That was in the rules scene. We're now in a franchise. We're not in a sequel. We're not in a trilogy. We're not in a requel. The killers are related to the original killer, Mrs. Loomis. Film student is the killer, Tony. So Mickey. Chad survives, just like Dewey. Dewey got stabbed pretty badly. He should not have survived. Chad should not have survived.
I don't know how. I feel like he was They really got him. They really got him. But also, he had some good punches in there. I was like, damn, Chad, go. He was the smartest person in that movie because he would bring with him a weapon. Everyone else, oh, you have a knife? I'm going to drop it and run away. Idiot, you deserve to die. He's like, oh, I'm going to bring Kenny's camera and throw it at Ghostface.
Yeah, but he also did the tip of the popcorn thing. I was like, what do you think? He's not going to step right over
He's
it?
like,
I
oh,
hate
no,
that.
popcorn, I can't stop it. I'm allergic.
You put Lego down or you put like marbles like Kevin McAllister, you have a chance. But you just threw a popcorn machine on the floor. You ruined the popcorn machine.
Oh, no, sticky.
Gail thinks she skipped a slap and then she ends up getting one. That happened in the original Scream 2. Nev, Sydney pivots and Gail's like, and then Sydney ends up getting her.
Yeah.
They hunt, and we'll talk about this scene, which I thought was awful. The hunting the killer in the park, like Randy, which in Scream 2, the killer called them and they were looking for him. It wasn't they weren't scouting for the killer like in this one. This was a planned, it was just bad.
Yeah.
And then it ends in a theater. So those are all the comparisons I have. But yeah, that scene was terrible.
The
park
scene? Yeah. The Courtney Cox, the Gail sequence, I was like, if they fucking kill Gail.
That was great. That scene was great.
And she fought back, which was awesome. That was a huge chase sequence, which we did not get at all really in 5. But I feel like every single one was a chase sequence. I'm like, you got to find the sweet middle of giving us that close-up violence, short and quick, but also adding chase sequences. But it just, I loved her on the phone being like, oh, I can finally interview you, and finally talking. And she just fought back hard, like with that cast iron pan, kicking him in the shit, like punching him. I was like, yeah. And then the gun, and then of course he comes out.
Yeah, that scene was good.
The collar, the hold on, can I put you on hold?
And then he calls her back.
The what? Hilarious.
People forget about Star 69.
Hilarious. No, when you have a house phone, you can call back. You can call the house.
Oh yeah.
But it's not even Star 69.
Didn't she Star 69 it?
No, she hit one button. You can hit like ring.
Oh.
And it will send. Yeah. So if you have a house phone, only people who have landlines.
Yeah, I'm not 90 years old.
But my parents still have one. So if you want their number, it's just kidding. Get enough spam callers, but she did that, and that was so funny. Like the whole audience. I think I was laughing way too hard, but I saw it in 4D. Did you see it in 4D?
No, I missed 4D. I'm very upset about it.
It was aggressive. My popcorn was like, up.
Yeah,
I was like, this is a lot.
That was probably the only movie I wanted to see in 4D. I can't do the 4D. I don't need my chair shaking. I don't need water sprayed at me. I don't need wind blown at me. I just don't need to look like I got out of a tornado when I leave the theater.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I had like 2 cups, my big thing of popcorn, M&Ms, and I was by myself, and I was like, Jesus, okay, let's...
Yeah, they must hate that at the theater when you have to go in and clean that up, and it's like everything's all over the place.
So I turned my seat down, like way down, so I could still kind of feel it, but I also was like, I don't know what's going to happen in this movie, and I'm a little anxious already, so I don't want to really feel it anymore.
There are a lot of people who end up in 4D movies and don't realize they chose the 4D movie.
I didn't realize either. It was a surprise.
People, so I just hear ridiculous stories about like someone saw John Wick in 4D and like the scene where he gets thrown down the stairs. It just, you feel every bump. And I'm like, this is not fun. This doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't sound fun. If I wanted to be in a 4D movie, I would have stayed on the Shrek 4D ride. And that's it. That's the only time I want to see it. Only time I want to see it.
I just want to sit back and relax. I don't need my chair shaking.
Relax during a Scream movie?
Yeah, but I just want to sit there. I don't want to have to worry, like, can I take a sip now, or is my drink going to go flying? That's all I would think about. Because I can't. I don't drink with a straw.
Okay.
I drink out of the cup, so I'm like, this is a disaster waiting to happen.
You
I drink like an adult. I don't need a sippy cup. No offense
like
to
a
your
sippy cup.
Scream sippy cup.
My Scream sippy cup cost me $15. Thank you very much.
Oof. It's okay. I bought the tiki cups, the Scream tiki cups, 2 for $20.
2 for $20. Look at you.
Yeah.
Being crazy. So Gail, her boyfriend was obsolete.
Yeah.
It was dumb.
Her I guess he gets tallied as a kill, but like her scene was fine, but then she's gone for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And then the killer's like, yeah, then I got to go visit the hospital and make sure Mindy and Gail don't pull through. It's like, all right, calm down. You're not getting out of here, sir.
Yeah.
They're gonna take care of you pretty bad. Yeah,
you're gonna die.
Final scene wise, I thought it was good. I love that there were 3. This is the first time there were 3. Not including if you count Roman for Scream 1, which you don't.
Yeah.
I thought the final act was pretty good.
Yeah.
I love that it ends surrounded by the Scream costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Why did she take Billy's mask if she was just going to drop it on the floor?
Some say she
went back and picked it up.
But I was like, also, what is the mask made out of for it to crack that badly like that? Because Billy and Stu didn't do anything.
I mean, this one is not cracking like that at all.
Yeah.
This is rubber garbage.
Yeah, so I don't like what was theirs made out of to like...
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I mean, after 20 years, I don't think it would get weathered.
No, I think it would like... be discolored.
Well, it was all in police custody, so
yeah.
I think it's not preserved, but I don't think it's gonna get I don't even think it would get discolored.
It won't be as bright, maybe, but like you're just gonna put it over the mic.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. the when Tara and Sam go up onto the balcony.
Yeah.
Thing, it's just blocking your face completely.
Yeah. Preferable.
You're like, I don't want anyone to see
preferable.
me. I love that scene where Tara drops and she's like, I can't hold you, you're bleeding, or the blood.
Let me go.
Let me go. But then like the look on her face, she's like, I got this. And then she just goes, but the initial stab of Ethan in her stomach, I felt that, and then she got him.
I mean, he goes, I've always wanted to put a thing in you.
No, I want to stick something in you.
I've always wanted to stick something in you.
And she goes, fuck you. And he goes, fuck you. And I'm like, okay.
My first thought was that she was going to land on it bottom first.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ouchie.
I was like, they can't do that. Are they going to do that?
Can't do
they
that,
can't
right?
do that to what's her name? Jenna
Ortega.
Do that,
right? They can do that.
So luckily she only got stabbed in the stomach. I thought it was going to be very Terrifier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, also, when they initially, the first time they went into the lair and Sam sees the Billy costume and she starts to see Skeet and she puts her hand in the glass, Tara goes, what are you doing? And Tara's the most logical person in this movie.
Surprisingly.
Sam is like, I'm fighting my inner demons, and then Tara's like, "What? Why are you touching?"
This is weird.
This is fucking weird. This is really weird.
Get your hand off there. You're gonna leave smudges.
You're making it weird for everybody. They're gonna know we were here.
And enough with the Skeet. We're
we love Skeet. We love Skeet,
but were you sitting there at all in the first 2/3 of the movie saying, "I hope Skeet pops up in the back"? No, I thought he was the biggest flaw of Scream from last year.
Yeah.
So, and I do like Skeet. I just didn't think it was necessary to show that she's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's other ways to show she was crazy. I'm sorry, just her trying to battle with her father. That's crazy enough. Just her putting her fucking hand there and Tara being like, what the fuck are you doing? And then she did it again in the very end when she's stabbing Bailey just a bunch of times, and she's like, Sam, what are you doing?
This is a bit much.
Do you like this?
The speed, okay, but the speed that Ghostface is stabbing him is out of control.
Stabbing
Detective Bailey when she comes out in the ghost face and like the camera does that 180 and she's just stabbing him in a speed. I'm like, this is a serious. Like, I would report this.
Yeah,
I would, and she's liking. You report that.
Yeah, everybody when else stabs like slowly and like methodically. She's like jab, 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 and you're like, hey, hey, remember that therapy thing we were talking about? What about we just put you in an institution really quick? Just for a couple months, years, forever, the rest of your life. With Stu, that's Scream 7.
I mean, that's what do you think? I mean, so the Detective Bailey thing, I got excited for a second because she wasn't going to kill him. I was like, oh, she's not mentally ill the way that.
And then Tara's like,
come on,
you wanna finish the job. You know you do. You know you're psychotic.
Yeah. So I thought we were going to have the first Scream where the killer survives and maybe becomes like their reference in the next movie, but I still think that's going to be Stu. What do you think happens in the next movie?
I don't care. Honestly, these are so fun. I loved Scream 6. So I'm excited to see what they do. I hope they bring it out of New York and maybe they're abroad, a semester abroad. Who knows?
Scream in Spain?
Scream in Spain. Spain in Australia. Scream Down Under.
Ooh.
Scream Down Under.
No, they're going back
submarine on the seas. On the seas. Semester at sea. That's an actual thing. It's like
it is.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going back. It would be crazy for them to go back to Woodsboro.
Yeah.
Like technically, Scream has only been in Woodsboro four times. Like 2 and 3 weren't in Woodsboro. 2 and 3 weren't in Woodsboro. 6 was not. So they've been in 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
So I can't imagine after what happened that they go back. So yeah, I think I don't know if they're in New York. They might be in New York or honestly, if they go back to Woodsboro, it's because they are keeping Stu in an institution there and only a few people know about him. And I would say Gail and Sydney know about him. Sydney might not be in the next one, but Gail knows about him and they're like, they go to him for help.
Can I just say, so I know there's a huge payment discrepancy with Nev. But the way that they handled Sydney's absence in just that one line, oh, Sydney's safe, in case you were wondering. She's with Mark and the kids. I'm like, okay, you're telling us. Honestly, we didn't even need to know. I think it was okay. It could have been a simple phone call like, hey, don't come here.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I that didn't even bother me. It bothered me more that they were that Gail got punched again. Enough punching Gail.
Leave
She's like
Gail
100 years
alone.
old now. Leave her. She could let her write her books.
Yeah, but I loved that Tara was like, oh, you're no longer relevant without these films. Like, I love Courtney Cox, but what else is she in besides
That's what I
Scream?
hate. I hate that they talk about Ghostface like he's an actual person.
Yeah.
You're not relevant without Ghostface. No, we call him Ghostface. You don't call him Ghostface.
Yeah.
Ghostface isn't one person in a costume. It's different serial killers.
Yeah.
So, like, I hate when they frame him like he's the same person every time. Like, you need Ghostface, like as if he were Jason or Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Like, no, stop. We can talk about Ghostface. You can't because you just can't.
Yeah.
It's not. I guess they are meta, but it just felt weird.
So again, you didn't really say. Were you surprised at the reveal of the 3 killers?
No, I guess. If I was going to be surprised at any of them, it would have been, if I were to believe that Quinn was dead, it would have been Quinn. But yeah, the knife on the hat, they typically give the serial killer away in the beginning of every Scream film. Like the first Scream film, they're playing Don't Fear the Reaper when the first time you see Skeet, the first time you see Billy. So like they find ways to give little hints in the beginning of every film. That knife was just too blatant.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that convinced me he wasn't the killer other than Mindy, like she kept repeating that he's the killer. Mm-hmm. I was like, is this to throw us off? Or no, she's going to be right this time. He's absolutely the killer. I didn't, because he didn't have the same last name as Bailey. I was like, I didn't assume they were all family. I knew there was some kind of revenge plot. I just didn't know what it was for. So that was the biggest surprise, that he was also Bailey's son. Mm-hmm. And then I might as well say it, like, seeing the movie, I knew who the killers were because I knew who 2 of the killers were because it was spoiled on Twitter for me. Somebody posted it. It showed up in my feed. And I knew 2 of the killers. I didn't know their relationship. All you see is Detective Bailey sitting there and then Ethan pulling off the mask. So I knew those two were the killers. I did not know that there was a third. I knew there was a third, but I didn't know who it was, and I didn't know what their relationship was. So only who the killers were spoiled for me, but nothing else. So I was a little bit happy about that. Overall, I thought it was the only way they could really go if they weren't going to bring back Stu or make Kirby a killer.
I thought for a split second that it was going to be Stu. I'm like, they kept alluding like, oh, if he's dead, if you believe he's dead. And then they're like, oh, you know, here's Quinn. And then you're like, wait, oh, it's Quinn. But for a split second, who said it? I can't remember if it was Sam or Tara. She's like, Mindy? For a split second, she thought it was Mindy. I'm like, Mindy is smart, but I don't think she wants to stab anybody like Sam does. I don't think Mindy would ever be a killer.
It'll surprise you.
You know, if you have 3 days of trauma, it lasts a
whole
lifetime.
3 days.
It lasts a lifetime. So how do you rank all the Scream movies?
1, 2, 6, 5, 3, 4. 4 is my least favorite.
Fair.
4 is easily like too hipster for me. Even the soundtrack, very hipster. They tried too hard. It just wasn't for me.
That's
and
fine.
I also it just annoyed me, the height difference between Ghostface and the actual killers in the movie. That's going to always bother me.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I've said mine.
Yeah,
many
you've gone
times.
through
I don't
5
need
of these already.
I
We're
don't need to
good.
say it again, but 1, 4, 6. Oh God, what was it? 2, 5, 1 or 2. Wait, 1, 4, 6.
2, 5, 3.
2, 5, 3. Yeah.
I feel like you've changed them every 6
I
episodes.
have,
all
because
6 episodes.
it's always, people always make me feel bad. They're like, what? You don't think 2 is great? I'm like, you know what? I wasn't a fan of 2.
I thought 2 was a great sequel
fine.
because there are very few good sequels.
Yeah.
That's why I tie 2 and 6. I think 2 and 6 are the same for me.
Yeah, they're not my favorite. Like, all of them are good in their own ways. Like, I love 3, but it's not the same as 1.
No, I love the stupidity of 3.
3 is
like,
great. It's
Scream
stupid.
Goes Hollywood. I was like, this is
But
dumb.
it's not my favorite, so it's last.
This
That's
is
okay.
dumb. Yeah.
That's fine. So out of 10, what do you give Scream 6?
I would give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty solid film. There are things that I would have changed. But yeah, I think it was pretty solid.
Yeah. I gave it a solid 8. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Kept me on my toes. I was entertained. It was fun. It was funny.
And it was New York.
It was New York. Quotes. New York's in quotes.
New York.
New York. Well, John, thank you for being here.
Of course.
You're normally producing the whole thing. We got Sam behind the board and on the ones and twos, as we like to say. Everyone else during podcast says, oh, on the ones and twos.
Yeah.
Never heard that until now. John, promote yourself. What you got going on in your life?
I've got nothing going on, but check out our friend Sarah Tiana's special on YouTube. It's called 44, and it's the best. I love Sarah Tiana.
It's hilarious.
Justin Martindale's special is on Out TV. Maz Jobrani's special, YouTube. Yeah, just some cool stuff. And check out the other podcasts.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty great.
Pretty good.
And thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you to our sponsor, Filmcraft LA. You can find them at filmcraftla.com or on Instagram at filmcraftla. Thanks, guys, and stay spooky.